Folks, the Knicks just fleeced the NBA and they gave a blueprint for the Golden State Warriors and how we can get a superstar to come into our organization. Cat, superstar, Minnesota, now in New York. The Knicks were in a very similar situation, a bit different, but very similar, and they made it work. How they were able to stay under the aprons and make the money going in, money going out work. They found a loophole. Yes, a loophole in this new CBA. This new CBA was created with the Warriors in mind because of the whole KD situation, how we stayed good because of spending money and the penalties that may have come. This new first apron, second apron is penal. It hurts. Teams can't build well with it. But the Knicks found a way to do it. I'm going to break down what they did and how the Warriors can do it. Randy Silver, Warriors Digest. You want all the Warriors news, training camp, free agency, trade rumors, and more? We have it. I'm putting my professor hat back on. Y'all loved this late last season, free agency, when we talked about it. We're going to break down how the Warriors can get a superstar coming in just like the Knicks did. Let's get to it. Please like and subscribe. Share so you don't miss anything. So this is the trade. We just got to make sure we're all on the same page. Knicks receive Cat and James Ninji. I apologize if I said that wrong. Timberwolves get Randle, DiVincenzo, former Warrior, Bates, Diop, and then a first-round pick. And the Hornets, the third team to make this work, get Jeffries, Brown Jr., Washington Jr., 3 second-round picks, and cash. So this is what we have to go off of, and we're going to break down how they did it. So again, the Knicks use a CBA loophole to get the Cat trade. And this is something we can do to make sure we stay below that first apron. Let me make this bigger. So Fred Katz. The Knicks discovered the loophole. Teams in their situation cannot aggregate minimums anymore. So in the sign-in trades of Jeffrey, Brown, and Washington, they're paying each of those guys $1 above the minimum league salary, so it's not aggregate. The league's not happy about this, but this is why they have smart people in the front offices to find loopholes like this. So what does this mean? You can't aggregate minimum contract. So I couldn't just say my name is Bobby, and the Golden State Warriors sign me. They sign Bobby to the veterans minimum. Let's just say it's $2 million. And then they use that to instantly sign me to make the money work in a trade. Because we're hard capped at the first apron, we can only send out as much money as we can coming in. So they need $17 million of work. If Kuminga's on a $15 million contract, I need to send out $2 million more. I sign somebody for the veteran minimum, send them over. He can get cut by the other team, and boom, the trade works. The new CBA, you can't do that. But there's no rule about $1 more. So the Knicks signed somebody for $1 more, 3 players than the minimum, and sent them to Charlotte to make the money work. Loophole. Seems basic and complicated though. Just to give you a good idea, the aprons, what can happen, what cannot happen. If you wanted to see more, pause the video. I'm not going to dive deep into it because I want to get to the Knicks. But example A, Team A has $170 million salary. Team A has a trade exception. They can't make a trade because they're going to exceed the first apron in salary. So things like that are happening. You can read this through. I got a second one for you, so I'll post it right here. Where B, you're trying to make trades and things like that based off the first and second apron. So with that being said, hopefully this makes sense. Again, please pause that, read that. It's straightforward. If you want a separate video on it, I will. But I want to get to the Knicks situation, so let's go to it. And shout out to Sporadic with this article, really detailing it. It makes a lot of sense. Let me zoom in. So the incoming salary for the Knicks, $42.9 million. Karl Anthony-Towns, that's what his salary is for this year. Over the course of his 4 years on the contract, he'll be making $220 million. They're sending out $49.9 million in salary. Julius Randle, and again, the players I mentioned, all accumulate up to $49 million. But they had to sign Jeffries, Washington Jr., and Bates Diop Brown Jr. to 1-year deals to make it happen. And what they did was, you can't sign somebody in a trade on a 1-year deal. It has to be a 3-year deal, but the 1 year is guaranteed. So that way the other team, this new CBA, can't just drop you. So that means that if they are dropped, that's dead money on Charlotte if those players aren't on the roster anymore. and they're still getting paid. So think about that. Good for the players. Now, this all started with the Mikal Bridges trade right here. Because with the Mikal Bridges trade, let me zoom out. It could have been very simple where they took on some more salary, but their goal wasn't, because they've been talking about this trade for the Knicks for all summer, knowing that this was the end goal before training camp. They got it done. So what they did with Brooklyn, they did a sign and trade that allowed them to get a player over that meant that they stayed under the salary. Okay, so what's actually happening? Here we go to it. Towns is making $49.2 million this season, his maximum salary. The trade bonus is not a part of this for his salary cap hit. So the Knicks are already hard capped at the first apron. They can't go over the second apron. They're in that window already. They can't go over that second apron. Randle, DiVincenzo, and Bates Diop. And Diop could be traded because he's part of the Knicks Brooklyn, because it's been 60 days. So again, long-term thinking by the front office gets them to $43 million. So really, again, what you need to know right now is the three players currently on the Knicks roster, $43 million. But Towns has $49 million. So how do they get $6 million more? Those are the three players that they signed at the minimum, 1 year guaranteed, 3-year deal, $1 over the minimum. The Knicks got that $6 million by agreeing to sign and trade deals with three free agents, Brown Jr., Jeffries, and Washington Jr. And that adds $6 million. It wasn't going to get done. So what did they do? They brought the Hornets in to be able to help, because Minnesota was already over the second apron. They're in purgatory for their salary. One of the reasons why they need to get rid of Cat. They just couldn't make that work. So a third team had to come in. Hornets, well below the tax luxury line. They have plenty of space to bring players in and get draft picks. So this is where the Knicks came in to be able to bring those players to the Hornets and draft picks. So New York, with the bridge trade, again, they couldn't compile more players coming in. So for Shake Melton, they did a sign and trade. Brown, Jeffries, and Washington will be paid slightly more than the 1 year minimum on the 3-year contract. The minor bump doesn't allow them to stack minimum contracts. So with the Melton sign and trade deal, it didn't put them on their salary because he went straight to Brooklyn. Same thing here. These three players, Brown, Jeffries, Washington, they're signing now and go directly over to Charlotte. So it's not adding and putting them technically over this new cap, which is kind of confusing. But if you get it, when you sign a player in real time and then trade them away and make sure it's not a part of that minimum 1 year deal, it's a 3-year deal, $1 over the minimum, you're good to go. So that's how they were able to make it work and hit the $6 million. The Knicks are now locked in the Towns, Bridges, and Brunson, Anunoby, and Hart, and they're going to be with these players for a while. Brunson's got the extension. They basically have this core for 3 or 4 years. So that's how they were able to do this. Again, taking it back to right here, Karl Anthony-Towns goes to the Knicks. Wolves receive Randle, DiVincenzo, Diop, and a first-round pick to satisfy them, hitting their $49 million that they need to get back because they got rid of Towns. And then for the Hornets, because the Knicks only sent over $42 million-ish to the Timberwolves, they now send $6 million to the Hornets, give them some second-round picks. They got some cash out of it, and now everyone's evened up. This is official and good to go. So the question is, again, Randy, how does this work for the Warriors? Well, we are at our first apron, so now we get to it. We're at our first apron right here. You can say the tax apron hit $177 million. Our total tax hit $176. Our cap space, not there. We're over the cap. Luxury tax, minus $5 million. Our first tax apron, $533,000. Because we're already first hard capped at the tax apron, we can't go over $533,000. So if we wanted to make a trade for a superstar, then you could do something like this. If, say, we wanted to go get Brandon Ingram and he's going to cost you $43 million, And that gives it cost you Wiggins and Draymond. That's cost you see right there. That puts you at, Wiggins and Draymond. Let's say it's Wiggins and Melton. That puts you at $38 million. The Ingram's at $43 million. There's $5 million left. You could potentially sign 2 players. Go ahead and do the sign and trade. 1 year guaranteed, 3 years option total. $1 over the veteran minimum. The Warriors would be able to make that work, if my understanding is correct, based off of everything I've done in the research. Now, this can only be done before the season starts. And why is that? Because you can't sign somebody free agency and do a sign trade just like that in the season. That's the only caveat. So if Warriors are going to make a trade of this capacity, it has to be now. But that's how the Warriors can do it, folks. Again, if they want to stay under and they want to do something big, that's potentially how they can get it done, because the Knicks just showed you can do a sign and trade, get someone $1 over the veteran minimum, and they will be good to go. And this is something the NBA, again, did not want, but there's very smart people in the NBA front office, and there's very smart people in teams' front offices, and they're going to look at the language and figure out what they can do. And the Knicks just fleeced the NBA. They got Karl Anthony-Towns. I think they have the best starting 5 in the NBA now. Definitely in the East. I think it beats the Celtics. We'll have to play the games. And let me know your thoughts. Did I make sense? Does not make sense? I'd like to hear everything around that. Golden opportunity for Warriors. If they can go ahead and do something like this, there could be a superstar in the future. Bye, y'all.